Scientists by nature tend to speak in cautious and measured terms, carefully weighing their words. But when it comes to the Cascadia subduction zone, a region stretching along the Pacific Northwest, their warnings take on a different tone: stark, urgent, and deeply concerning. The Pacific Northwest, a land of stunning natural beauty, sits unknowingly atop a ticking geological time bomb. For over 3 centuries, immense tension has been relentlessly building beneath the surface of this region, a silent and invisible force accumulating energy. When that tension finally releases, as it inevitably will, it will trigger a catastrophic disaster, unlike anything modern America has ever experienced or even imagined. The scale of devastation will be unprecedented. This isn't mere speculation or alarmist rhetoric. It's the undeniable result of decades of painstaking scientific research and analysis. Geologists have meticulously studied the composition of the soil, analyzed the patterns within tree rings, and carefully examined underwater sediments extracted from the ocean floor, with all the evidence relentlessly pointing to one inescapable conclusion. The region is not only due but significantly overdue for a massive and devastating earthquake. The earthquake, known as the Big One, will be immediately followed by a devastating tsunami, a wall of water of unimaginable power, reaching the coastline within a terrifyingly short span of minutes. Imagine a seemingly normal, peaceful day on the beautiful Oregon coast. Families enjoying a day on the beach, tourists exploring the charming coastal towns, when suddenly and without warning, the ground begins to shake violently, an unrelenting tremor that lasts for what feels like an eternity. Buildings crumble and collapse, bridges buckle and fail, and landslides roar down hillsides. Then, in an eerie and unsettling prelude, the ocean mysteriously pulls back, exposing the seabed in a vast expanse, a silent, terrifying warning before the tsunami strikes with unimaginable force. The monstrous wave will then sweep away entire communities, leaving nothing but devastation in its wake. From Northern California all the way up to British Columbia, impacting a vast stretch of coastline, millions of people are directly at risk, their lives hanging in the balance, and tragically, most remain largely unaware of the true and imminent danger they face. The last great Cascadia subduction zone event occurred in the year 1700, long before the advent of widespread written records in the region. This extended period of silence has unfortunately bred a dangerous sense of complacency among the population. Now, scientists are racing against time to break through that silence, desperately trying to warn the public and raise awareness. Critical infrastructure, homes, schools, hospitals, power plants, all lie directly in the tsunami's destructive path. Emergency planners are acutely aware of what's coming. They understand the potential devastation. But tragically, the region as a whole remains woefully unprepared for an event of this magnitude. The scientific evidence is overwhelmingly clear. The threat is not only real, but also imminent, looming on the horizon. The question is no longer if this catastrophic event will occur, but rather, when will it strike? The ground beneath our feet is not nearly as stable or secure as it may appear on the surface. The Pacific Northwest is facing a clear and present danger, a threat that demands immediate attention and action. Scientists are urgently imploring us to listen to their warnings before it is irrevocably too late to take action. The time to prepare, to educate ourselves, and to take proactive measures is now, not later. Will we finally heed the warnings and take the necessary steps to protect ourselves? Or will we remain complacent until disaster strikes? The choice is ours. The Cascadia subduction zone. It's a name that might not be familiar to everyone, but it represents a very real and significant threat to the Pacific Northwest. Is a colossal fault, a fracture in the Earth's crust of immense proportions. Stretching over 600 miles, it's a zone of intense geological activity. It extends from Northern California all the way up to Canada, a vast area along the coastline. Here, the Juan de Fuca Plate, an oceanic plate, is being forced beneath the North American plate, a continental plate. This process is called subduction, and it's a fundamental driver of earthquakes and volcanic activity in the region. This fault lies just offshore, lurking beneath the ocean's surface, dangerously close to major population centers like Seattle, a bustling metropolis, Portland, with its vibrant culture and growing population, and Vancouver, a major international city known for its stunning natural beauty. For centuries, these plates have been locked together, grinding against each other with immense force. This has been building up immense energy, a potentially devastating force. Think of it as a giant spring, slowly being compressed over time, wound tighter and tighter every year, storing more and more potential energy. Cascadia is classified as a megathrust fault, the most powerful type of fault on Earth. This means it's capable of producing magnitude 9 earthquakes, the highest level on the Richter scale. It shares the same deadly characteristics as the faults that caused the devastating 2004 Indian Ocean and the catastrophic 2011 Japan tsunamis, events that caused widespread destruction and loss of life. Most local quakes in the Pacific Northwest are minor by comparison, mere tremors in the grand scheme of things. But a full Cascadia rupture would be catastrophic, an event of unprecedented scale. The shaking would be far stronger and last much longer, potentially for several minutes. It would be unlike anything in living memory, a truly earth-shattering experience. The fault has been silent for over 3 centuries, lulling us into a false sense of security. But this quiet is not safety. It's a deceptive calm. It's the calm before the storm, a period of deceptive tranquility before the inevitable release of energy. Scientists know the danger is real and growing, and they are working tirelessly to understand and prepare for it. The region sits atop a sleeping giant, a geological force waiting to be unleashed. And it won't sleep forever. The question is not if, but when. When Cascadia ruptures, the entire fault could slip at once, unleashing a magnitude 9 earthquake. The energy released will dwarf anything California has experienced. Shaking will last up to 5 minutes, long enough to devastate cities and infrastructure. Unreinforced buildings will crumble, bridges will collapse, and utilities will fail. Landslides and liquefaction will turn solid ground into quicksand. But the quake is only the beginning. The coastline will drop, the seafloor will rise, and a massive tsunami will form. Within minutes, a wall of water will race toward the coast, obliterating everything in its path. The tsunami will arrive in powerful surges, flooding communities far inland. There will be little time to warn or evacuate. For those in the inundation zone, survival will depend on immediate action. The force of nature will be swift and unforgiving. This is the scenario scientists fear most, and it could happen at any time. The Cascadia subduction zone is locked, a geological vice gripping the Pacific Northwest. It's relentlessly accumulating stress as the Juan de Fuca plate, driven by forces deep within the Earth, pushes inexorably beneath the North American plate. This immense pressure builds, unseen, deep underground. The land along the coast is squeezed and uplifted, a slow but sure deformation of the landscape. It's moving just millimeters each year, silent, relentless, and meticulously tracked by scientists. These subtle movements are our only clues to the immense forces at play. Eventually, the accumulated stress will exceed the frictional forces holding the two plates together. The fault line, strained to its breaking point, is a loaded spring. When that happens, the fault will rupture catastrophically, releasing centuries of pent-up energy in a matter of minutes. The ground will heave and buckle with unimaginable force. The coastline will abruptly drop, and the seafloor will rise, displacing massive amounts of water. A massive earthquake, unlike anything most living people have ever experienced, will shake the entire region. GPS instruments, our silent sentinels, confirm the plates are indeed locked, and the land is demonstrably deforming under the strain. The longer the fault stays locked in this tense embrace, the exponentially more powerful and devastating the resulting quake will inevitably be. On average, the Cascadia subduction zone ruptures approximately every 240 years. But it's been over 320 years since the last major seismic event shook this region. This puts us well within the statistical window for the next catastrophic disaster. Each passing year incrementally increases the risk. The sleeping giant beneath our feet is winding tighter and tighter, storing up unimaginable energy. The question is not if this fault will rupture, but rather when it will finally awaken with devastating force. Millions of people live atop this geological time bomb, often blissfully unaware of the impending danger. The geological and historical evidence is undeniable and overwhelming. The countdown to the next great Cascadia earthquake has already begun, ticking away relentlessly. For centuries, the last great Cascadia quake was a mystery. Indigenous oral histories spoke of a great wave swallowing villages. Scientists found ghost forests, dead trees killed by sudden land subsidence. Tree rings dated the event to the winter of 1699-1700. The final clue came from Japan, where a tsunami struck in January 1700 with no local quake. It was an orphan tsunami, traced back to Cascadia. The timing matched perfectly. a massive quake in the Pacific Northwest sent a wave across the ocean. This discovery provided a precise date and magnitude for the last event, about a magnitude 9. Native stories, ghost forests, and Japanese records all told the same story. Cascadia produced a monster quake and tsunami in 1700. The fault operates in cycles. The past is a blueprint for the future, and the cycle is due to repeat. The warning is written in the land and the sea. Modern science has sharpened our understanding of Cascadia's threat. Computer models and satellite data now map the likely devastation in detail. These maps show exactly which neighborhoods, schools, and hospitals are in harm's way. The odds are sobering. A 37% chance of a major quake in the next 50 years. The longer we wait, the higher the risk. Climate change adds a new layer of danger. Rising sea levels mean the tsunami will travel further inland, flooding areas once thought safe. Old flood maps are already outdated. Extreme weather could compound the disaster. Imagine a tsunami during a winter storm. Rescue efforts would be hampered by wind, rain, and cold. Survivors could face harsh conditions with no shelter or clean water. The risks are multiplying. Preparation is more urgent than ever. The human cost of a Cascadia event would be staggering. FEMA estimates over 10,000 dead, tens of thousands injured, mostly from the tsunami. Coastal residents would have only minutes to reach high ground. The destruction would be nearly total in the inundation zone. Homes, schools, businesses wiped away. Nearly 1 million buildings could be damaged or destroyed. Economic losses would reach hundreds of billions. Entire communities could vanish. Major cities like Seattle and Portland would be crippled, bridges down, ports closed, supply chains broken. Recovery could take decades. The coastline would sink, reshaping the land forever. The psychological trauma would be immense. Local and national agencies would be overwhelmed. This would be a humanitarian crisis on a scale unseen in modern U.S. history, and the region remains dangerously unprepared. Governments and scientists are working to reduce the risk. Advanced monitoring systems like Shake Alert can provide precious seconds of warning. Emergency agencies have detailed response plans and conduct large-scale drills. The focus is on saving lives and stabilizing the region after disaster strikes. Some communities are retrofitting schools and hospitals and building vertical evacuation structures for tsunami safety. Public education campaigns teach evacuation routes and hold regular drills, but progress is slow and costly. Many communities lack resources to make needed changes. The scale of the problem is immense. Scientists provide the data and maps. Now it's up to policymakers and the public to act. The tools exist to save lives. The challenge is turning knowledge into action. The Cascadia story is sobering but not hopeless. Science gives us the knowledge to prepare and adapt. Early warning systems, better engineering, and improved monitoring are saving lives. Continued investment in research is essential, but survival also depends on personal and community preparedness. Everyone in the region must know their evacuation routes and have emergency supplies. Securing homes and planning ahead can make a life or death difference. The future will be shaped by the choices we make now. We can ignore the warnings or act to build resilience. The cost of inaction is far greater than the price of preparation. The big one is coming. By learning from the past and embracing science, we can survive, recover, and rebuild.